Mental, these are my stories.
Howdy, folks. We're having a good day today. I'd like to be the first to welcome you to Autism Rocks and Rolls. Now, before we begin, I must know that I am not a doctor or a psychiatrist. If you feel like your son or daughter needs to be diagnosed, please see a physician for any medical concerns that you have, because I only speak on this based on my experiences. Now, I also do not own the rights to the music. Both were found on YouTube and were published on YouTube in September 2019 and March 2009. So now we got that over with. Let's go to the topic. So today's topic, we'll be interviewing a very special man named Mr. Abe Shapiro. So how are you doing today, Abe?
It's great to be here, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. So can you please say to our viewers out there?
Well, just wanted to say that I'm really excited to be on the show. I'm honored Sam has picked me to be on the show, and I'm excited to talk with all of you just about, autism spectrum's all about my own experiences, and just hopefully we all can learn a little something as well, and just all while listening to good old rock and roll. So.
All righty. So my first question to you is, what does having autism mean to you?
That's a very good question. Originally I thought it was a little strange. I noticed growing up that I had some strange behaviors, blurting things out at times, saying some rather some jokes that just weren't funny. Humor wouldn't fly. I'd be somewhat sarcastic. I'd act out in certain situations, blurt out in class, and I never could understand why that wasn't really explained. I didn't understand. It wasn't until 8th grade really that I was told by my parents that I had Asperger's syndrome, and I can understand why they didn't tell me at first. It probably wouldn't have made a lot of sense to me at the time, as I was still growing up, but it really it explained a lot to me, and ever since then I've considered it just part of my identity. I've considered it, part of my life. I've considered it as something that can work for me rather than against me. And, that's not to say that it's a disease or anything. That, in my opinion, is a tragedy to consider, the spectrum something as something that you need to get over, something that will, destroy your life. That is far from it. It's obviously
depends it's far from the truth.
Yeah, or it depends the circumstances, but personally, I would consider it something to be proud of. I don't think one should be afraid of it. Again, it's best to allow it to work for you rather than against you, and to do everything in your power to make that happen. So to me, I guess to include this rather long spiel, autism to me it's a part of my identity, and it makes me who I am, and I'm proud to be a part of such a diverse community.
I am too, man. I am too. I was learning when I was 5. I think my mom did it through me. Didn't she do it to me through a book? I think I learned through a book was my, the way I learned. They read me a book. It was funny. It was the same name as me, understanding Asperger's or something. Oh, I have that, I get it now. Yeah. That's why I have it. My mom didn't tell me. I got it. I was told through a book.
I found out I was diagnosed at the age of 5 and didn't find out till 8th grade, so sorry to interrupt, my man.
All right. It's all right. It's fine. You're fine, buddy. So yeah, I learned my through book. So we definitely have a lot of things in common with how we were told it. I guess you could say, or told that we had it.
Absolutely.
So what were your first thoughts when your parents revealed? What were your first thoughts when you learned that you had autism?
Well, I think that it was sort of my eureka moment, I guess you could say. I'd really thought about it for some time. I knew that something was different about me. I knew that, there were certain things that I didn't do normally, sit still in class. I'd normally isolate myself on the playground. I didn't really talk to kids my age as much. I found that I could get along better with adults, or that I had a much easier time talking with adults than I did with kids my age. I also found that I was interested in certain topics and that I would obsess over them. One of the things that I remember obsessing over is the Titanic, actually, and the story of shipwrecks, American history, the great composers of the 18th and 17th centuries, Ludwig van Beethoven, Wolfgang Mozart, and listening to their music continuously until, well, the CDs wore out. But, I think that having those specific interests made me feel that I was different. It developed a sort of hyper focus in me, where I could focus on these things outside of the classroom. And, I always had that desire to learn. I think that that's an important part of the spectrum too, is that obviously it depends, I think, on, the degree, but I believe that each of us has a desire for lifelong learning and to, work to foster it. And so, I think that being told for the first time that I was diagnosed opened up, this moment where I realized, so that's where all this came from, or this is why I am who I am. And, it was a little frightening at first. I went to a special needs school, or a school for twice exceptional kids. There's a model, a kid is, any child has the ability to make an impact on this world. And then the second exceptionality is that they have a spectrum disorder, or they have something that, impacts them in everyday life. And, going to that school was sort of that second, or rather that next moment where I realized, yeah, definitely something different. And then this was really just the pinnacle of it. This was really the moment where it all made sense, where everything just sort of came into focus, kind of like the Star Child in 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it's just like you go into the void and all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, this is, I know all these things now. This is crazy. And, egotistic or anything, but I mean, it was like, oh my God, it all makes sense now. So I think it was nice to have a little bit of understanding.
Yeah, I hear you. Definitely. Definitely. I could hear you. You said education. I mean, that's important. I mean, I don't want to learn more about science or social studies. Well, social studies, yeah, but not like any more about science or math. But I still want to learn more about their history. You know what I mean?
Me
Like,
too, man.
more about Abraham Lincoln or George Washington, or about the Civil War, or more about
Absolutely.
grammar. I hear you. Education is a big key in autism. We want to become Albert Einsteins, just not
Yeah.
our own type of Albert Einstein.
Yeah, and I mean, through our own passions. I mean, rather than ask people to, engage in something that we don't particularly enjoy, it's better to foster that sense of lifelong learning and what we do best. And, it's something that I really have sought to do even after I learned about the fact that I had Asperger's, and just trying to help people achieve the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely my goal. I think I'm doing okay. Hopefully I am.
Absolutely.
So now, how do you think our brains operate, since we both have Asperger's? How do you think their brain operates? Is it like a wheelhouse? Is it like a pin? Is it like a royalty mess? I mean, how do you think our brains operate?
It's there are a number of ways I could describe it.
Go right ahead, list them all.
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail right on the head, where, you have the cogs in the wheel, going, you have that type approach. For me, there was an instrument that I saw on Facebook recently that had all these sound effects that the guy would play, the maracas, and then the bells ringing. Kind of sounded like the soundtrack to a Looney Tunes cartoon that they would play in the old picture shows in the 1920s. And so I think of that with all these sound effects, like
That's all, folks.
I kind of think of all these yeah, exactly, and just with all the firecrackers and the sound effects. That's how I think our brains work. All of our brains work. When we're stressed, we have that sort of Looney Tunes instrument in our head. But I think when we're calm and we're focused and we're trying to think things out, I think that our brain transforms into this all the wheels turning, like in a clock, like an old time clock, where you see the wheels inside moving the hands about. So I think that those two interpretations really cover the way I see my mind. Or we could go the other way, where we see a bunch of people working in a computer lab, and filing cabinets with all of your interests and whatnot. I've seen that in a number of TV shows. SpongeBob, Ned. I saw those growing up on Nickelodeon. They'd show the mind in a certain way, like an office complex.
Yeah,
And
you're thinking like the
that
Office
really struck a
ordeal.
chord with me. Yeah, so I mean, that was those are my interpretations.
Okay. Well, that is our good messages. I could agree with all of those actually. There was really good interpretations I never even thought about. Nice job.
Thank
Really
you.
good job. So now, what is something I do not know about you? What's a surprise fact, like a general, like maybe you don't, maybe you like olives and I didn't know, or you run a game show or something? I don't know. What's a surprise fact, bro?
Well, when I was little, about 10 years old, I watched this, as you can see, big baseball fan. For the listeners out there, I am currently wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers sweatshirt. Big fan of the Dodgers since '98, been bleeding Dodger blue. But I watched this documentary, 100 Years of the World Series. And after watching that one time, I had managed to memorize each of the World Series. So each of the two teams that played in it. And they didn't start most valuable player voting until 1955. The first MVP was Johnny Padres, Brooklyn Dodgers. Woo! First title. But so I currently know all of the World Series since 1903, except for
Wow.
1904 and 1994. Strike canceled those seasons.
Could you list some of them? I'm kind of interested now.
All right. How's about we go to the 2010s, for example?
Okay, let's do that.
All right. So 2010 World Series, San Francisco Giants versus the Texas Rangers. MVP was Edgar Renteria. Giants won their first World Series since 1954.
Okay.
2011 World Series, Cardinals Rangers. But I'll go back a little further. 1911 World Series, Chicago Cubs versus the Philadelphia Athletics. Athletics won in, I believe it was 5 or 6 games. I'm a little rusty on some of these, but 1907, Cubs versus the Tigers. Cubs beat the Tigers. They beat them the next year in 1908, and then they wouldn't win another one until, 4 years ago. 2016, who, by the way, the MVP was Ben Zobrist, hit the 10th inning base hit that won the title. So, I don't know. I think that's just a little bit of a taste. Yankees have 27, so we could go on for ages talking about, how many titles the Yankees have won. I know the longest sports droughts too. Cleveland still has one. They've had one since 1948. Red Sox waited 86 years. Cubs waited, 108 years, almost fitting because the numbers match up, 1908, 108. But I don't know. Hopefully I didn't go too far in depth with that. But I know a few of them. I haven't won since 88.
That's impressive, man. That's really impressive. That's a great message because even though we might struggle with something else, you can remember all the series. I can remember a wrestling match from 20 years ago that happened. I mean, that's impressive in my eyes. So nice job on yourself. Really impressive.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, buddy. So now, how do you get your message across? Like, we know you run the Neurodiversity Coalition, IU. So how do you get the message across? Like, you always have this message. I don't know what it is, which I'm going to ask you. Like, what is the message? But how do you get the message across? And how do you interact with someone?
It was the Philadelphia A's versus the New York Giants. 4 games, 2 A's won. So I got the A's part right. Close, but close. But you asked, I'm sorry. You asked how do I get the message out?
Yeah, how do you get the message across and how do you interact with someone?
Well, are you talking about the group at IU or
both, kind of. Like, I'm asking about your group at IU, but I'm also asking, how do you interact with someone like me or like someone you never met?
Sure, of course. Well, I'd say the first thing that I would do is go up to them, introduce myself. Sometimes they'll ask you, looking at me. Eye contact is something that I struggle with at times. I think that's majority of us. But
me too.
I try. Huh?
I said me too.
Oh yeah, and I think that one thing I've learned is to try to ask open-ended questions a lot more than closed-ended questions. I kind of think of it as a neighbor coming to the door. So if you want to talk with someone or you want to invite them into your house, well, of course you know them, as a friend, you're going to want to ask them, you're going to want to swing that door a little wider. So try and engage with them a little more. Ask them, how's your day? Great. Well, that's a little bit of a closed-ended question. It kind of ends the conversation before it's really began. So, follow-up question, for example, such as, oh, why is your day going great? What happened today? And then, expand on that. It's kind of like a little bit of a dance. You sort of take the lead, you give them a little bit, they give you a little bit. So I think you can use some of those skills with which to develop a nice little discussion with them. That's really one of the ways that I connect with people. But for my coalition, for yours out there, we have the Neurodiversity Coalition at Indiana University, which is all about spreading resources, bringing together a group of individuals on the autism spectrum and beyond in order to foster an atmosphere of inclusivity on campus. But I think one of the things we want to do is connect with people via social media. That's something that a lot of organizations do nowadays. But I think the other way we wanted to do it was stream our meetings as well. I know that we streamed our first couple of meetings this year via Facebook Live. We were also thinking of doing it on Instagram. We didn't really have a chance to develop some of our social media profiles this year. We wanted to focus on recruiting some people via Facebook. But I think that with our next president, Ben Foley, shout out to you, Ben, and Alexis Brown, I think that we can go beyond Facebook and really get the message out. We also posted a lot of flyers as well. We'd have multicolored flyers to attract people's attention, and we use a brain as our logo. So we use cream and crimson, our school colors, but we'll mix it up every now and then. But I think that's really the bulk of how we get the message out. But there's also a Students on the Spectrum Club run by Indiana Resource Center for Autism's Marcy Wheeler, and she is, to me, a godsend because she has really distributed a number of resources on campus that are dedicated to bringing people with autism onto campus and helping them in any way that they need. So I think that partnering with different organizations is another way that we can get the word out. We were thinking of having an event where Haley Moss, the first openly autistic female lawyer in the state of Florida, was going to come and address students at Indiana. And unfortunately, because of, the little stunt that the bacteria has pulled, or the COVID virus has pulled on us, you crazy medical genetic thing, which I know nothing about. You crazy biological COVID creature, you. We weren't able to do it, but I'm hopeful that we can in the next semester. And
do it down the road.
We're a ragtag group, but I think that we've got a great group of people behind us, and we can really make an impact on college campuses so that people on the spectrum will be able to go beyond on high school and really experience the college life and just eventually translate those skills to the real world. That's my dream, is to really see people like us go to college and experience the college life, really engage with the concepts that they learn and apply them to the real world, so that just as everyone else can.
Yeah, I can agree with that, man. So now, not everyone is accepting with autism. That is sad. So
it really is.
How do you handle your autism when someone is not accepting you? I have my ways too. Don't worry. I just don't pay attention to them. That's my way.
Oh yeah, well, me too. I mean, not everybody's going to like you. That's a certain part of life that.
That's for everyone, not just someone with autism. That's for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody.
And I realize that it takes people time to get used to that fact, but unfortunately, the world's not a perfect place, and not everybody likes everybody. And I think that the way I did it in my early days wasn't the best. I mean, I'd probably shout them. I'd be very upset. I would think, hey, what, how dare they not listen to me? Why? Why? I'm not that different. But I realized throughout time that that's just one of those imperfections of the world rearing their ugly head. It's just part of the imperfections of our world in that not everybody's going to like you. And I eventually got accustomed to that. And so I just normally walk away. I don't even engage with them. I just say, have a nice day. Thank you for your time. Kindly leave the stage. And then
Gotcha.
I just shuffle away.
Yeah, I need to learn to do that. I wish everyone liked us because they'd be open, a lot
Yeah.
more open and a lot more enlightened.
But I think that's what both of us are trying to do. I mean, you with your podcast, me with my coalition, just trying to break down one barrier at a time and, bring some sort of acceptance. I think we sort of have that. I feel like we have that sixth sense in a way where we can tell when somebody likes us or when somebody doesn't like us. I mean, we can sort of tell right off the bat, even though we may not be able to communicate it fully. There's just that feeling. I mean, for me, I get this sort of tinge in my forehead, or I think of
I know what we all
something.
have. And Spider-Man in the Marvel, the last Marvel movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, they said Peter tingle. We have basically what we have, an autistic tingle.
Yeah, exactly. My tingle, my autism sense is tingling, and
exactly.
So
bingo.
I hear the fireworks go off in my head, and I'm just like, "Yep, catch you later."
Exactly. So now, can you describe yourself?
Ooh, getting a little philosophical, aren't we?
We are.
Well, I would say I'm a pretty simple person. I tend to live pretty simply. I don't ask for much. I'm someone who will try to curl up with a nice cup of coffee or something or tea on a rainy night, read a book, go out to a baseball game, try to socialize with people as much as I can. I'm not the best in loud environments. I try to be more quiet internally. Well, my voice is more
loud.
I'm more of a loud personality externally, but internally I feel that I'm more reserved. I don't really like quiet, or I don't really like loud places very much.
Yeah, I'm used to like that, but not as much anymore. I'm the type of guy who's loud and proud and proud with the world, and loud and proud externally.
I mean, for me, I think I'm about letting the world in rather than shutting it out very much. But I think it also depends on the situation as well, or how I'm feeling that day. There's always going to be a roller coaster of emotions, and that goes for everybody, of course. But I think that with people on the spectrum, they tend to feel it a lot more, or they express it a lot more openly. And I believe in that. I think that's important because it's important to express your needs to people rather than keeping them locked up.
Yeah,
it's important.
I think we do that a little. Yeah, we definitely. I think we do that a little too much. If you see,
I agree.
We do that 102 honesty versus bluntness, and I'm just referencing an episode. But so see 102 honesty versus bluntness for more on that. But yeah, we open our mouths too much, I feel like.
Oh, believe me, I have spilled more secrets about family and friends that I've been told to keep under strict lock and key than I can imagine.
Yeah.
And so, I've learned my lesson a few times. I've realized, hey, you can't do that. That just, if you're told something, try not to tell anybody. Maybe say it to yourself, but try not to
make the guy
spill
mad.
the beans. Yeah. So, but, and I'd also say that I'm passionate. I'm still passionate about things like baseball, the Titanic. I love my college. I love my sister. I love my family. I'm very passionate about, the people in my life, trying to make their lives better and as good as it can be. And
Gotcha.
I don't know. I would say I'm very passionate. I'm a mix between. I'm an ambivert, I guess.
Ambivert.
But, I once saw that. I was filling out a survey for Teach for America, where we're trying to fill out a survey for our roommates, and there were three options. There's extrovert, introvert, or ambivert, I think it was. So a mix of the two. I'd never heard that word before, but
me neither.
I'm going to start using that in my lingo.
Ambivert. I'll have to look into that. So now that you describe yourself, now I want you to describe me.
All right.
I mean, like, maybe not like personal, not like feature-wise. I mean, like personality-wise, feature-wise.
Maybe I'll pick something from the movie to help. You are kind. You are smart. You are important. No, but great movie, by the way. But no, I mean, I think that you're a leader. The first episode of your podcast, which I listened to last week, you said that you're always willing to go the extra mile, to step up, to help people who need it, who are in a difficult situation. I think that's something that both of us share. And I think that's something that individuals on the spectrum share as well, in that they want to help people out and they don't want people to misunderstand them. I think that that's an important characteristic to have. I think that you're hardworking. You talked a lot about your job at the hay barn, and you've talked a lot about the podcast. And it's important to, at some points, pick something that you're passionate about and dedicate your life to that, or dedicate your effort and, well, just I would just say your efforts to it. So I would say that you're both hardworking, and I would say that you're very open, passionate about people, and I think those are all admirable qualities. I think that those should be values that each person in this world should exhibit. Even though our world, again, is not perfect, I think that each person could take a page out of your book and
follow the
unify
Messiah.
this world.
Follow me, the Messiah.
Yeah, I'd also say you're pop culture savvy as well too, with the rock bands you listen to as well. And that's not judging anybody who doesn't listen to Queen or AC/DC or any of the other rock bands. That's just simply my opinion, because Sam has made a lot of references to Highway to Hell and all these different songs. So I think that you're very charismatic in that regard too. So there are a number of words I could use to describe you, even though I haven't known you for very long. But I really think that passionate, open, charismatic, and just positive are four things I can really say about you, and I value that.
Thank you. So how did you also feel? I feel like this, we're labeled this. How did you feel about being labeled as eccentric? Let me think if I can explain what I mean by this. So eccentric means we do what we want, we like what we want, despite the popularity that people are going to wear these golden flip-flops and we don't like them. We're going to wear what we want.
Yeah, we're not going to take it. Yeah.
Yeah. Except we're not going to like it. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, there you go. I don't go with, I try not to flow with the crowd very much. I try to just do my own thing. When I go to school, sometimes I'll just wear a polo shirt where I just keep the collar open, with one button, fastened, the other one open, the collar is down. That distinguishes me. People have different, people will wear, the fashionable button-down shirts, or they'll wear these, things with diamond, the diamond logo on the front of it, or something like that, something eccentric, or something that is eccentric for them, but
not for us.
Yeah, and I think that, again, that goes for everybody. I would consider myself eccentric. Yeah. Sometimes, I was in this living learning center during my time at Indiana University, Collins Living Learning Center. Highly recommend for all the viewers out there who are going to Indiana University. One of the most inclusive communities you will ever go to. It's amazing. But our mascot is a gnome. So our slogan is "Home is where the gnome is, gnome sweet gnome." And we made these little hats, gnome hats. And so I wore that around often. People in class would be saying to me, "What is that? Why are you wearing that? What is this?"
Why not?
I'm like, why not? It's a part of my identity. It's a part of my college experience. Why not express that openly? Why not say I'm proud to be a member of Collins Living Learning Center? It's another reason why I'll wear my IU jacket around often, because I'm proud to be a member of Indiana University.
Yeah, people they should do that a lot more often in Indiana.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing your own thing.
Yeah.
As long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Yeah, as long as you're not gonna cut someone's head off.
Oh yeah, or bite the head off a dove like Ozzy. But as long as it's within fair boundaries,
you're fine.
I think everybody should have the chance to be themselves. So I would consider myself eccentric.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, viewer discretion is not for normal people, but will be completely ignored.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Matt just said, the whole thing with eccentric.
I love it.
I know. So now, can you tell me the most rewarding thing and difficult thing about having autism?
Sure. I think I think that the most rewarding thing about having autism is you get to discover things about yourself that you otherwise wouldn't have known. You are able to discover through perseverance talents that you never dreamed you would have. In addition to being diagnosed with Asperger's at the age of 5, I was also diagnosed with fine motor skills challenges. So, my arm wouldn't lift a certain way. I wouldn't be able to hug somebody normally. So, my hands would stay at my sides. My arms would stay at my sides.
Yeah, you're a penguin, basically.
Basically, yeah. But, and, I'd shuffle around, boop, 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 happy feet. But
Happy feet.
yeah, you got it. But, I wouldn't be able to play sports. People say, hey, you're not going to be able to play sports. You can't catch a ball. You can't throw a ball.
Oh.
But, I got occupational therapy, vocational therapy. I didn't really speak a lot either when I was younger too. So that was something else. But through that trial and error, that experience, I was able to get stronger in both my arms and legs. I ran cross country freshman year all the way through senior year of high school. So that was a talent that I didn't know. I think that, when you're on the spectrum, you have certain abilities, photographic memory, ability to step up and empathize with people. You may not feel that you can empathize with people, but behind the scenes, at least in your own mind, you are able to, or you, not that you're able to, but you can see things from your own perspective. And that's something that I've wanted to do with my coalition. Founding that came about because I was able to see the world from a different perspective. There's that TV show Atypical. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it on Netflix.
I'm afraid not.
Honestly, a great representation of people on the higher end of the spectrum. I do wish that they'd included people who are well-functioning. I don't like those titles personally because it segregates, but I do wish that they'd included a variety of people on the autism spectrum as well as high-functioning. But I think that it was a pretty accurate representation. The main guy, who's also named Sam, is very passionate about Antarctica and penguins and Ernest Shackelford and his expedition of the Arctic. And that's something to be proud of, is having the ability to find hidden talents. And for me, I was able to discover I play the piano by ear and join my school band. And so it's the little things that I appreciate about being on the spectrum. Even there are always some silver linings
with me. I mean, if you look at the podcasting with me, I would have known I could do that 5 years ago until I joined Media Club.
Yeah, right. I mean, silver lining. Don't you agree? I mean, there's a silver lining in everything you do. You just got to find it somewhere. It might not be easy, right?
Yeah, I gotcha. So,
you ever feel that way?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you graduated recently, right?
Yeah, actually, just it's a little interesting. Friday I finished my last assignment. Saturday we held a little grad reception at my grandparents' house via Zoom. Family was watching. My girlfriend was watching, and that was important. I'm not someone who likes public spectacles, so I preferred the intimate gathering.
Got it. So what did you go to high school for, bud? I mean, not high school, college.
History. History was something that I've been passionate about since third grade, when my dad first got me the Smithsonian for Kids Encyclopedia, American History through the years. And I read through that in about a week and just fell in love with the concept. I love how you can connect certain people to certain events and how the world has developed throughout time. You can look at the I think it's connecting events throughout time, and the people who have conquered challenges that I appreciate about history. It made me think of my own experience, and I wanted to learn from those people as well and apply the lessons that these people have. Albert Einstein couldn't speak when he was little. He ended up becoming one of the most important contributors to science. I think of There was somebody else, I forget his name, who it was. I wish that I could remember, but he was the first person to uncover what nitrogen was, what hydrogen was. Henry Cavendish, that was his name, Henry Cavendish. He ate the same meal, a leg of mutton every day. He would sit in a certain part of the restaurant, and this was 17th, 18th century, but he operated his own library. He was almost what I would consider to be the British Ben Franklin, but without the independence without declaring independence of a nation. They had their hold over us at the time. But, I think of those people, and I think, I used to think, it would be nice to do something like them and, discover that difference, that sixth sense that they had. And ultimately, I found I was able to do that. And I think one of the most difficult parts, though, is being able to interact with people. Sometimes you may not see eye to eye with people, and you can get frustrated about that. They might interrupt you at certain intervals. That's something I can't stand, is, again, when people tell you to act a certain way, when people tell you, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. Hey, that's weird. Why are you talking about this too much? Hey, you're talking too loud. And I think, excuse me, isn't everybody talking very loud? Isn't this a very loud party? Isn't this
exactly?
Isn't this a classroom?
Yeah.
I thought we were supposed to be loud. I thought we were supposed to give our point of view.
Okay.
But I don't let that defeat me. I just, again, go on my merry way. I don't think anything of it. I think that's also one of the toughest things that someone on the spectrum can struggle with. It's taking things personally. And, I think the important thing is realizing that not everything is personal, that there's always going to be something in your way, but just don't let yourself stand in your way. And so I think that's something that can be very difficult, not letting yourself stand in your own way. And so I think in life, you're not competing with other people, you're competing with yourself. And so just making sure that you don't get in your own way is a critical lesson to learn on the spectrum. And it's something I struggle with still, and I know a number of people do, but I think it's possible to get better at over time.
So now that we talked about your job, I like to eat, so this is just a personal question for me personally. Mm-hmm. What is your paradise meal, your favorite food, and why is that your favorite?
It's an interesting story. I have eaten meatloaf since I was like 5 years old. And I'm not talking about meatloaf with ketchup. Ketchup hurts my stomach. I was allergic to sugar, so I discovered at the age of 2 that I could not eat sugar. I started getting hives when my parents were giving me eggs or birthday cake, and I could not figure out what it was. They couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was not allowed to eat sugar for 3 years.
Are you still allergic to sugar?
Oh, well, at the age of 5, at 5 years old, the doctor said, "Oh no, you're fine. Sugar, all set, buddy. Eggs, nope. Sorry, no eggs for you. No scrambled eggs. No, I don't know, other egg dishes. Scrambled eggs, chicken in the basket. I don't know if you know that, with the bread with the egg in the middle. That's one of my sister's favorite foods. But I think I've gotten through that. I know you can't have certain meats as well. I know with alpha gal too. I remember hearing you say that as well. Yeah. I'm lactose intolerant myself too, so there are certain types of ice cream I can't eat, or just certain acidic foods too. But anyway, with all the pessimism out of the way, my paradise meal is meatloaf with mustard on it, or salmon. Personally, I love salmon. Also, my favorite cookie is a black and white cookie. Chocolate on one side, vanilla on the other. The old, a taste of old New York. But I love that cookie. I'll eat the vanilla side first, chocolate second, save the best for last. And my favorite drink is also peach Snapple. Goes back to my middle school days. We'd order from a diner down the road from our school, and peach Snapple was always just that one. But my paradise meal is just meatloaf. I would say some brown rice and a little bit of broccoli here and there. I can eat just about any vegetable as long as we're not talking tomatoes. I can't eat ketchup, by the way, because ever since I think the sugar allergy pretty much eradicated that from my for my food lingo. So
Yeah, I can't. I don't like tomatoes either. I don't like fresh garden tomato, but tomato mixed anything is fine. My feeling, I don't like a fresh garden tomato. I can definitely tell. I can agree with you on that.
yeah, and like you, I love peaches. So
Yeah,
every
peaches
time
are
summer
amazing.
comes around, I'm like, yeah.
Me too. That's mine. I'll send you some peaches with you.
Oh, dude, you've made my day.
So now, what is your favorite movie or TV show, and why do you like it?
Ooh.
I know you've been making a lot of movie references.
Ah.
So now it's your turn to pick one.
Well, I would say that it's a cross between three movies. So
All right, list
the
them.
first one I like was the 1994 adaptation of Angels in the Outfield, the Disney movie Angels in the Outfield. I love that one because the tagline of that movie was "It could happen," and this kid, oh, what's his name? I'm always forgetting the names of characters in movies, but he's always saying, "It could happen, it could happen." Angels end up winning the pennant, coming back from last place. The pitcher who has cancer, the angel tells the kid who's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's the main character, he says he's going to he's been signed up for the heavenly choir in a few months. He'll be one of us. And he doesn't know anything is wrong yet, but in the last game, he pitches a perfect ninth, clinches the pennant, and that's beautiful because it's overcoming the odds, and that's something that I believe in that everybody can do. Now, another good movie that I particularly enjoy as well is, of course, A Night to Remember, which is about the sinking of the Titanic in 1912. It was made in 1958, was based on a book by Walter Lord, but that is probably the most accurate to the tape visual representation of Titanic that I know. The movie Titanic to me was great, all right, a little too romanticized. By the way, Jack could fit on the door. I know that. But no, I mean, I think A Night to Remember, I love accurate historical biopics. That's something that I love. Anything that is, to the timeline, walks the line is something that I'm a big fan of. And then, a third movie. I don't know. I'm really into like
What
TV
about
shows.
Marvel? Like Marvel? That could be something you can list.
All right, anything like Tobey Maguire's, anything that has Spider-Man in it or Superman, the original Superman from 1978 with Christopher Reeve, if you know that one.
I do not.
Oh man, the original Superman is amazing. I love that one. It has the best visual effects that I've seen in a superhero movie. That's not to say that Marvel's CGI isn't relevant. I love that movie. I love any Avengers movie. The visual effects are stunning, but for the time, Superman's trilogy with Christopher Reeve was incredible. But I don't know. I think that just about sums up movie. Oh yeah, there's one more, an Indian movie that I saw in 2010, shortly before I found out that I was diagnosed with Asperger's. It's a story about a man named Rizwan Khan. He comes from India, and he, throughout the movie, tells his life story. And he goes to the president of the United States. He's from India. He's a Muslim. And in the wake of the September 11th attacks, there was that rise of Islamophobia in the United States, something that really should never have happened. Not to interject anything political into it, excuse me, but I'm just saying, it's that thing of diversity, that inability to understand where other people are coming from, and that ability to generalize people based on a single historic event. And throughout his experience, he finally goes to the president and says, "Sir, my name is Khan, and I'm not a terrorist." And I think that that's something that that line stuck with me because not only did it show that he was trying to break down the barriers of intolerance that permeated the United States shortly after the attacks, but it really shows that not everybody is a threat. There's some people whose purpose in life is to hurt others, but there are way more people who want to make an impact on this world. And I saw that through Khan and his experiences. And Highly recommend. My Name is Khan from 2010. I thought it was very impactful because he was breaking down barriers and he was sharing his life story, and he was there for people. That was something that I believed was central to the plot, that he was there for people. And it's something that those of us on the spectrum, I think, can rally around. And I definitely rallied around Rizwan Khan during that movie. I hope I didn't interject anything too political or anything like that.
You're fine.
But
You gave a good answer, though. I will give you that.
But no, I think those three movies are really,
Impactful. Just up there, right?
Definitely. And Napoleon Dynamite all the way.
Gotcha. So, what has been your favorite vacation that you've ever taken, and why do you enjoy that vacation very much? You went in Texas, you went to Florida, could be one in Washington, could be one in Montana, even.
I gotta say, Washington was pretty special. First time I ever went to Washington.
Washington State or D.C.?
Oh, excuse me, D.C.
Okay.
D.C. was very special. That is a historian's dream.
I went there once.
Yeah, I went. I was actually there in March for an organizational event in college, but basically it was great. I got there a day early. Went to the Smithsonian, walked through the Air and Space Museum, the American History Museum, and interestingly enough, there was a display case about the Special Olympics and about individuals who are neurodiverse, who have made an impact on history. And that was the moment I realized, hey, this is a new topic. There's a new social movement in the world, and we each have an ability to make an impact. The other trip that I really liked was the one I took with my girlfriend to Chicago last year. We went. We were all over the place. We went to the Billy Goat Tavern. I don't know if you've seen the Saturday Night Live skit, cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger.
No, the one I've seen was the Matt Farley, living in a van down by the river.
Living down by the river, yeah. I am divorced and I live in a van down by the river. But no, we went there. We saw the old train stations. We went to the Museum of Art and did a Ferris Bueller reenactment. So we stood in front of the paintings just like Ferris Bueller did. But my favorite part was going to Soldier Field and seeing that statue of the Special Olympic Games. The first ones were held in 1968 there, and being able to raise my fist in the air right next to it with the snow blowing around me was a lot of fun.
I bet, man.
It was great. And then also going to Boston too. I was able to get an internship up there last year and was able to go to a Red Sox game, walk the Freedom Trail on the 4th of July. The Massachusetts State House where the Boston Massacre took place, they read the Declaration of Independence every year, and then they shoot off confetti. They do a little bit of a gun salute in the air, and then there's just a big parade down Faneuil Hall, and that was great because I got to see the scope of the American Revolution, got to see it on the 4th of July, and to me that's special. I mean, being able to see the birthplace of the American Revolution and our history on the 4th of July in Boston. That was beautiful.
I bet.
I've only been in Philadelphia, but Boston is really the central area.
Yeah, I bet it is. I want to go there to see the ship.
The what?
The ship, the USS ship.
Oh, yeah. Is it the Constitution?
Yeah, USS ship, Constitution, something like that.
Yeah, the oldest ship in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
I had to think that too. I was thinking, okay. So now you probably already, I think our viewers are going to guess what your interests are, but are there any other personal interests of yours, and why do you enjoy those?
Well, like you, I mean, I was into broadcasting for quite a bit of time. One of my desires was to become Vin Scully's successor. Vin Scully was calling Dodger games for over 60 years, and then he retired. Unfortunately, his seat went to Joe Davis, who, by the way, is a great broadcaster. I wish I'd succeeded him, but you know what? I was too young at the time. But I appreciate the art of radio broadcasting. I appreciate the charisma that announcers have on the air, the ability to attract listeners. There's still a radio station that I listen to every day. It's called Careth 101 here in Los Angeles, and they play a bunch of oldies and rock, and that's my style. And I know it's probably yours too, but well, I think another passion of mine is, besides sports, I'm telling this is tough. But
You list all your personal interests basically through the whole podcast, so I'm thinking, are there any others?
I gotta think of something. Well, piano. Always trying to learn a new song is something that I'm very interested in. I recently memorized Train's "Calling All Angels." I think it's only fitting too, considering the need that we need some sort of miracle in the world today, especially with what's going on. But on that pessimistic note, but also world history itself. That's branching out.
Yeah, I bet you'd be interested in that.
Absolutely. And I think my other interest is, I'd say teaching as well. I'll be teaching a few months, but I think just trying to convey my interest to other people and see what their interpretations are. Trying to teach something new to someone each and every day is something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I bet it is. My mom's a teacher, so she feels and see when I meet my mother for that. That was a good episode. But yeah, she's a teacher. I think that's the same reason why she likes to teach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is your proudest accomplishments or your proudest accomplishment you ever made in your life?
Well, I would personally say graduating college. I think that experts said, hey, you're not going to be able to go to college. You're not going to be able to go to high school. You're not going to be able to play sport.
Yeah, but then it's always good to prove them wrong.
It feels good to just stand at to have climbed the mountain and now stand at the top, realizing that I not only survived but thrived at college. I'd also say, getting all league honors in my last race at cross country was something special, and being able to pass on the team to a new leader. Getting the title of team captain was something that I did not expect, because I didn't think I was the fastest. I tend to doubt my abilities a lot, and being named team captain my senior year was something that I am still proud of to this day. And being able to lead my team to the prelims was something special. But again, one of my other accomplishments is founding the Neurodiversity Coalition, because there wasn't that organization on campus, or at least there wasn't as much knowledge of neurologically diverse people on campus. There was only one club that I knew of, and that was Students on the Spectrum. And even that wasn't well promoted. And neither was the disabilities for students. You get extended time, you get accommodations. But, when you see 0.5% of people who are nonverbal not getting their accommodations, that's a big problem.
Yeah, that's tough.
You see, I look at the survey that was in the IDS newspaper about it one time, and it said, 0.5% of people don't get their accommodations. Well, of course not. They can't even express themselves. That's terrible. And they have no one to help them. What kind of a world is that?
So, that's not a world. It's a world of garbage.
Oh, of course. And so, that's one of the reasons I wanted to found it as well, so that students or teachers could act as advocates as well, help them in the DSS appointments. I think that could really make or break a college experience. And so being able to found that, or being at the forefront of it, is something that I'm proud of. And I'm proud to share that with the world, with my fellow students, and with the world.
Yeah, I bet, man.
It never could have been done without them. So
yeah, I bet. So now, are there any good memories that you want to tell our viewers about? If you do, why do you remember that memory the most? It can be with me, with your family. Are there any funny ones? Are there some that changed you, or
Well, this interview with you is definitely an important memory. This is the first time I've really had this sort of national interview about the coalition and just telling my story to the world. I can't thank you enough just giving me the opportunity. I'm honored that you picked me to do it. And so it's something I'm going to remember. But something that one of my favorite memories was 5th grade graduation in 2009. Just shows how old I am. June 18th, 2009, Roscommon Road Elementary School. Sorry, didn't mean to shout you out, but you were a great school. I got up on stage. The theme of the year was hope, because President Obama had become the first Black American president, and the theme of his election was hope. And that was something we had been looking for in the wake of the financial collapse in 2008, 2009, and just this uncertainty overseas. And there was this sense of unknowing in the nation today. And I saw that when I was little. I saw it in my parents' faces. I saw it in my fellow students. And so they asked us to write a speech of what hope means to us. They were asking for examples of what hope means. And so I decided to write a little poem about what it meant. I said, bullying will not be tolerated in the world, in a perfect world. I described that there would be no divorcing, no fits of rage. And I talked about that because, there were a number of kids who went through that when I was in elementary school. And so I really wanted to give, to reference them in my speech as well, so that not to exploit them or anything, but to let the world know that this is something to have faith in, that we can build a more perfect world. That was really the theme of the speech. And getting a standing ovation, seeing my family stand up after it was all over, even though, well, of course, my eye contact, I didn't really look back, but I could see it, and that was really powerful. I mean, having as an interesting experience as I did in school, students doubted me, teachers doubted me, and then just reaching that was something that was powerful to me. And another favorite memory to me was when my also seeing my dad in that crowd, and just his beaming and his smile and his just, the tears rolling down his face. I mean, it was at that point where I realized that, I'd made him proud. I mean, he is someone who I try to impress a lot, as well as my parents. They believe a lot in me, and they encourage me to strive for excellence. And seeing them just smiling the way they did, and my mom and my dad just crying, that was when I realized, I really hit the nail on the head and made them proud. And I would also say that that's really those are really some of my memories. And also finding out that I got accepted to Indiana, that was beautiful. That's something that I'll never forget either.
Yeah, Indiana is good with special needs.
I agree.
Not just IU, but Indiana as a whole state.
It's been so accommodating. I love the state. It's grown on me. My mom's from Indiana herself, and the state has become my new home away from home. And I'm hoping to stay there for quite a ways to go. Sorry if I speak out of order. I know I've kind of stumbled over words sometimes.
Don't worry about it. Now, is there a funny memory you like to talk about? I know I asked it, but any moments that made you laugh, or?
Well, let me think here.
It could be with anyone. It could be with your dad, your mom, a family member, me.
Yeah. Oh boy. Wow, this is tough. Well, there was one time when I was at we were down in San Diego watching a Padres game right before 5th grade. And the Padres, I believe, were playing the Giants. They were up 9-2, if I'm not mistaken. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see a guy run out onto the field in his underwear, just waving his arms like crazy, just spinning in circles, jumping in the air, and just like, woohoo, I'm famous. And then you just see the security guy pin him to the wall, and just like, that's enough. And then they just throw him off the field. But I booed just about with the rest of the crowd, because I wanted to see an encore performance. I wanted to see him, break it down on the floor, and just, who knows what that man could have done.
He could have been drunk or something. Who knows?
Though I wouldn't have mind seeing, some break dancing, seeing some groove. Who knows what that man would have done to entertain the masses. The game was pretty much out of reach. So
yeah, he might have something to do and then nothing.
We needed some kind of entertainment in the world today. Not today, but I mean, we needed some kind of entertainment at that point in time. So He definitely showed it.
Yeah, he did. So, maybe this is the final question, buddy. What advice would you give for someone who has autism or just learned that they had autism?
Well, I would say when you first find out, don't be upset. I think that for anybody finding it out, it can be a little shocking, but I would say take it as a moment of clarity because, and again, it depends on the different degrees of the spectrum, but I would say it's important to not let that affect you. I think it's important to take with it and run with it. There are a lot of people in the world today that say that it's a negative trait that needs to be eradicated, and to me, that is it's not possible. It's a neurological difference. It's something that is a part of you. It's not something that can be taken out. It's not something that can be completely removed. It's a part of you, and so I think it's important to make your difference work for you. Make it a part of you rather than have it work against you. And you can do that in a variety of ways. Find something you're passionate about. Don't be afraid to talk with somebody if you can. I mean, always look for the people who are helping. There's a good quote from Mr. Rogers that I remember seeing in Won't You Be My Neighbor? He said, in the toughest of times, look for the people who are helping. Those people will guide you, or something like that. But I remember, look for the people that are helping is the advice that I want to give to the viewers out there and to the listeners. Something else I might say is find common interest with someone. As you get to know someone over time, you may have different interests with people, but I think, there's always going to be someone who is similar to you, be they normal, be they autistic, what have you. They will have interests that coincide with yours, and you will be able to find that special someone or that friend. I mean, I'm not a professional, so I can't really. I'm just talking from my own experience, of course. And also I think that for parents out there too, I think that believe in your kid. Don't underestimate the potential that they have just because of the diagnosis. There is so much potential that each of us have in us, and one little characteristic that's different is not something that defines us. It's not something that should take away from who we are as people or our abilities, because at the end of the day, the reason that we're all together here is because we want to make a difference in this world. We want to change the world, and we want to do the things that work for us rather than against us. And if we are allowed to do that, we will change the world for the better. And you may try and take us down, but our journey is just beginning, and we will come back 10 times stronger than before, and we will win. And so I just wanted to give that sort of hope.
Yep.
And that sense of just believe.
Yes, there's always going to be light at the end of the
remember
tunnel.
to persevere. But
Definitely.
don't be it's okay to be afraid, and I realize that, but try to find ways to distract yourself from that fear, and that's where I think finding a passion helps. That's what I think, being on the spectrum helps too. I mean, it can really take away that anxiety and that fear of not being accepted.
Definitely, I can agree with that. Well, Abe, I think we're done here. Do you got anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank your mom. Gina, thank you very much for inviting me to be on the show. You were amazing. Your questions were articulate. They were detailed. They were fantastic. You have a gift for gab and a gift for interviewing. So I'm really impressed with how far your podcast has grown, and just keep doing your thing, man. I'm really impressed. And
Thank you.
For everybody out there who's thinking of Indiana University, check out the Neurodiversity Coalition. We are going to make a difference on this campus, and we want to help you achieve your goals on this campus as someone who is different from the regular crowd. So we're here for you. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Gina. And keep doing your thing.
Thanks for joining for this episode. Please tune in for another episode coming very soon. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. Thank you very much.